Hey there, welcome to Live Happily Ever Now. I am your host, Carrie Briggs. If you found this podcast, that is no accident. It means that you're ready to feel good, heal your life, and manifest the life of your dreams. I can't wait. Hello and welcome back to Live Happily Ever Now. I am your host, Carrie Briggs. I am so excited to be back, you guys. It has been an amazing summer. I've completely backed off of doing this type of work to be with my children, to be very, very present, and to heal a lot of stuff that was not fun and exciting to heal, but I am not the same person I was back in the beginning of summer, back in May. So this episode is really going to be talking about this kind of the things that I've been going through and had a really large realization around within me, within my clients, within my children, within my spouse, like all of these things. And it's this topic of surface level healing. And surface level healing is like I like to call it the Band-Aid, or the numbing, or the quick fixes, so to speak, of healing, which are all fine and dandy. So this is the best way that I can describe it right now is like you have a broken bone, you break your bone, and you can see the bone sticking out. So you push the bone back in a little bit and then you put a Band-Aid over it and you're like, it's fine. I've healed it. I can't see it. It's fine. And that's kind of what a lot of us do with healing. We think we have the problem, and instead of really sitting with the problem, we just kind of like put a Band-Aid on it. We will throw affirmations at things if we have a negative mindset. We will numb ourselves to ignore the problem. And that's not I'm not saying that's the extreme definition of surface level healing. And I will say this, I'm not a therapist. I am not a doctor. This is things that I have learned and studied and been dealing with or going through for many, many years. So this is just my interpretation. Take everything as a grain of salt. So for me, when I talk about surface level healing, it's temporary. It is not something that is going to fix the problem. Again, a Band-Aid can make it look better, or you can wrap it up in ace bandage, or you can do something like that. Another example, like if you have a broken bone and it really needs to be set, but you're like, I don't want to set it, so you're just going to put it in a cast. You're like kind of temporarily dealing with a problem, but in the long run, it's not going to be good. And what happens, and this is actually something my mentor, Erin Ryan, says all the time. She goes, a lot of us have deep trauma and deep woundings that it's a broken bone. We broke a bone when we were very, very young. And these are the old traumas, the old mindsets, all that stuff. And it kind of grew back the way it was because we ignored the problem or we didn't fully process it. We're like, it's fine. It'll fix itself by itself. And now as adults, we're going back and we're dealing with all these traumas, all these woundings, all these things coming up in order to deal with. And we have to re-break the bone. Re-breaking the bone is like the deep healing, but ignoring it and just looking at the broken, you have this like gangly arm and it's all like different shapes. And you're like, it's fine, I'm going to deal with it. That's the surface level healing. That is the ignoring it, or putting something, or like putting a pretty shirt on so you can't see the broken bone. Or I'm trying to think of a really good spiritual example. So for me, one of the things that I did a lot was pour affirmations on things. I would sit down and do manifestation. I would sit down and actually, this is an amazing example. So in the beginning of my journey, I was really excited about manifestation. And I'm like, I can manifest things like this. I can manifest free cup of coffee. I can manifest free gifts. I can manifest money coming in. I can manifest all these things. And it was amazing. So every time I was stuck in a situation, I would try to manifest something to make me feel better, quote unquote, which was fine because I'm like, oh, that's amazing. It's exciting. I'm intuitive. I'm manifesting. I'm manifesting all these beautiful things in my life, but I wasn't getting to the root of the problem. So this summer, I kind of had all of those things taken away from me. My pacifier, so to speak, a pacifier is like an amazing surface level healing. It's like, oh, you're crying, take this, suck on it, and it's going to give you an oral fixation so you stop crying. And my pacifier was taken away this year. My manifestation, my intuition, it was taken away so that I had to do this deeper healing, and it was uncomfortable and it was messy. So let's talk about like physical versus emotional healing. So physical healing is like treating a symptom, like I talk about the broken bones, and then emotional healing is like the underlying wounds, the spiritual imbalances. And this is something that I talk about all the time. Again, I am not a doctor, but it has been proven in many, many studies that when you do not heal your emotional trauma, it will show up as dis-ease in the body, disease. And these show up as what is the word for it? Like fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, other autoimmune diseases that show up because your body, the thing with trauma and the thing with healing is that emotional trauma gets stuck in the body. Energy gets stuck in the body. And if we do not move that, it will, our body is trying to expel it. It's trying to tell us something. It's trying to show us something. So it will show up as pain, as inflammation, as frustration, as depression, as anxiety, as all of these things, because your body is trying to tell you how to heal things. It's trying to tell you that there's something wrong. These are all like warning symptoms. It's the same thing with like when you really have a lot of acne coming up, or your skin is your largest organ. And anybody who has ever told you anything, your skin is the first sign of something wrong in your body. So if you have eczema showing up, if you have acne showing up, there's some sort of emotional or imbalance in your body that needs to be taken care of. So the same thing with like disease. So every time I get sick, it's usually because I'm not dealing with something emotionally or healing something. Anytime that I see a lot of autoimmune diseases actually become healed by doing a lot of inner work and inner healing, because you're dealing with the emotional trauma and the things that are underneath it. So there is a lot of physical healing that is involved. So taking care of your body is a huge thing. This is something I talk about all the time, but the emotional healing is where the power is. And it's so much deeper than anybody talks about. It's so much deeper than anybody really thinks about, because you say, oh, I have an autoimmune disease. I have fibromyalgia. So you're treating the symptoms. You're treating the symptoms of fibromyalgia, but you're not treating the underlying causes. You're not treating the emotional trauma, the physical trauma, the trauma that, and again, not a doctor. Lots of studies I've been doing, classes I've taken, certifications I've taken to learn this information. Your nervous system is out of whack and it needs healing. So, but again, in this modern society, it's really easy. You go to the doctor, you're like, I have all this inflammation. They're like, oh, you have fibromyalgia. Here's medicine for it. They're not treating the problem. They're not treating the emotional issue. What they really should be doing, again, not a doctor. I feel like I have to say that over and over again, is start to seek out growth, like personal growth, personal healing, processing your emotions. And then the thing too, a lot of therapists, and I love my therapist, and the first thing I said to him when I walked in, I says, do not ever prescribe me medicine. And that's fine. I'm not downing it. There's a lot of places and times that it is needed. For me, that is not one of those things. I knew I had to work out my issues. I knew that there was more healing that had to be done. So, but instead of the fibromyalgia, having new medicine, which is fine. The pain is real, but also using another tool with this emotional healing, with looking at the trauma, because a lot of the time we have blocked out most of the things that's happened to us. And there's big trauma and there's little trauma. So big trauma is like somebody dying, physical abuse, sexual abuse, like large things in your life. But in the little trauma is little things that happen every day. So being bullied in school, your pet dying, not being able to do things that you wanted to do growing up, not being ignored, or being told that you're too much or too loud or too little, to whatever it was. Like those little traumas equate to large traumas. And I'm not saying everybody's trauma is different. There's no trauma that's bigger or less than any other trauma. We all have trauma. But when we do not heal and process through the trauma, that is when these things come up. So the physical healing and the emotional healing, it was really, really needed. And then masking symptoms. So a lot of the times we mask symptoms. Like I said, like the fibromyalgia, the symptoms are masked into that. And then you really have to look at the deeper issues. The unresolved emotional pain that we have all been through are traumatic. And when we do not look at them, bad things happen. They manifest into horrible, horrible things. So holistic approaches. So this is something that I'm holistic first and foremost. I'm always for the natural remedy opposed to everything else. So whenever I have something come up, so if I'm sick, first of all, I'm going to use Reiki, because Reiki is my tool that I use every single day of my life. I use Reiki on my children. I have Reiki to like get rid of germs and viruses and all of those things. So I do that first and foremost. Herbal supplements. Am I feeling my body the right way? And then the emotional piece. So when I'm sick, I always look at, okay, what is going on in my life right now that could be causing this to show up? Am I too stressed? Am I burnt out? Am I all these things? And another thing I realized too is when we don't take care of ourselves, our well-being, our mindset, self-care is key, then we will get sick a lot, because it has nothing to do with the germs around you. It has to do with the fact that you're not processing your emotions. You're not allowing yourself to slow down and just be. So the universe is like, okay, let's do this. You're going to get sick. So if anybody followed me and has listened to my previous podcast, everybody in my house was sick from January until May. They were sick 10 times. There was not 1 week from January to May that I had every single kid in school all week. It was on. I was sick 10 times. And then after all of that, because I was ignoring my feelings, ignoring the stuff, I sprained my ankle. So as soon as I sprained my ankle, the universe is like, are you going to sit down now? And I'm like, They're like, yeah, you are. Because I wasn't processing, I was moving. I have been stuck in chronic flight my entire life. And the nervous system, right? So there's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. I have been stuck in flight my entire life. So I've been working my way out of flight. For most of my life. So from January to May, I was just in flight. I'm like, I'm just going to avoid. I'm just going to avoid. I'm just going to avoid. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to work because work is my safe place. Work is my happy place. I'm going to bury myself in that. I'm going to drink. I'm going to smoke weed. I'm going to do whatever I can to not sit still. I would meditate. I would use meditating as an escape from my reality, from feeling things, which everybody's like, isn't meditating what you're supposed to do? Yes, if you're doing it the right way. But I was meditating to, I was like doing fun meditations opposed to really deep healing meditations. I was ignoring my Reiki. So I was doing all these things that were not for my benefit, that were ignoring my symptoms, ignoring all the things I needed to do in my life. And the universe is like, you actually need to stop now, and you need to like process all these emotions. So that's what happened this summer, and it was not fun. It was awful. But I am never going to have to go through that stuff again. The amount of stuff that shifted, the amount of emotions that shifted, the amount of trauma that I processed over this summer is unmatched. And I thank the freaking Lord don't have to go through there. Like, you have to go through that level again, but there's levels you have to go through, which that's just part of healing. So the other thing that I want to talk about is a mind-body connection. So mind-body connection is this thing was kind of when I was talking about meditating. So I always use meditation as an excuse. I'm like, if I stay up here in my happy little bubble, I don't have to think about my body. I don't have to be grounded in my body, which is fine and dandy. I'm a spiritual being. I am like living up in the clouds all the time. That's how I channel. That's how I work, all those things. But the reality is, I'm in a meat suit. Like I'm in this meat suit of a human body, and I am physically grounded on the earth, but I was not grounded in my body. I was not feeling things in my body. I was ignoring my humanness because it was easier for me to escape into my head than it was for me to be in my body. So this mind-body connection is, it's a rough one, but I have been working deeply with Gaia, so Mother Earth. I have been working deeply with dragons, as you all know. I'm a 5-element dragon fire Reiki master. I also work deeply. I do a lot of dragon medicine. And so Mother Gaia, dragon medicine, I do work deeply with Kali Matu, and she's a no bullshit goddess, deity. So I've been doing a lot of that and grounding deeply. I would spend every single day, I think every single day, I was either outside barefoot on the grass, or I was laying down and meditating outside, usually 2 times a day. And I was journaling in my body. When I was journaling, I used to do like manifestation, but I was not forcing myself. I was inviting myself to do more deeper meditation or journaling. So inner child work, inner teenage work, to figure out where all of these stories and things came from. And the things that came up, let me tell you, were freaking insane. So then on the spiritual healing aspect of it, so I'm a spiritual mentor. This is what I do. I help women. I help incredible human being souls, successful human beings, deal with these blocks. So all of this underneath the surface level things that are keeping them from being stuck. And what we do is we go through. So you think, I just have a bad employee. But do you have a bad employee, or are you mirroring this bad employee and she's showing you everything you don't like about yourself? Or maybe it's, all of my clients sign up with me and then they leave me after a couple weeks. Okay. Well, that's not a problem with your program. That's a problem with you have a lot of internal work that has not been dealt with, and your clients can see that, and you need to sit with it. Other aspects of relationships. You are been single for a long time, or you only attract really negative people who take advantage of you. That is inner work that has to be done on you. That is not blaming everybody else. That's because you haven't done the inner healing, the self-love for yourself, because you don't believe that you are worthy enough to love somebody or have somebody love you deeply and compassionately, because you don't love yourself. So you see all these different, like, we think it's these things, but in reality, it's much deeper level. So there's this graphic I saw, and it's a picture of an iceberg. And you can only see this tiny little top of the iceberg on top. And that's all you see. They're like, oh, this is the iceberg you see. And that is like the surface level healing. We're doing all these little things. Like a kid is hungry. Or a kid is having a tantrum. You give them a candy, but they don't want the candy, but they take the candy because it's easier and they want the candy. But you're not dealing with the emotional trauma. Like maybe they're brother is being mean to them, whatever it is. That's anyway. So there's this iceberg. You see this iceberg on top, but then underneath the water is this giant, the rest of the iceberg. And what happens, we see all these little things on top. We're like just putting band-aids on them because it's easier, but you don't see the giant trauma underneath. So like for love, all of these people are bad. Nobody loves me. I'm just attracting negative people. That's the tip of the iceberg. Underneath is this unhealed self-love. All of this trauma that you haven't worried about. Maybe you had a really bad, shitty relationship with your father, and that's coming up, and you believe that nobody's going to love you because you watched your father leave your mother, or whatever it is. But this is what we do: is we dive down deep into essentially the depths of hell. That's what I walk people through, because you can't get, again, when you have to reset a bone, you don't just like magically snap your fingers and your bone is reset. You have to re-break it. It's kind of what I do, is I lead you through that in the most easeful way possible, so that you can dig down and heal it. Because a lot of people come to me with seeking, I want to find a new job. Okay. Why do you want to find a new job? What is that thing that you want to do? And then we dig really, really, really deep. I'm not a surface level coach. I'm never going to give you a band-aid. we dig down deep and get to the root of the problem, because that's where the issue is. It's kind of like a plant. If you have a plant and it's just like rotting, like all the fruit, it's not bearing fruit, that means there's a problem in the soil. It has nothing to do with the plant. It's not a bad plant. You have to get to the root of the issues. So self-reflection and awareness is something that I do as well. Avoiding quick fixes. No band-aids. Affirmations aren't going to do shit if you don't do the healing work. Journaling isn't going to do shit if you're not willing to do the work. Meditation isn't going to do shit if you're not willing to do it. Acupuncture isn't going to do anything. Reiki is not going to do anything. I mean, these are all amazing tools to use, but until you get, and so when I say Reiki is not going to do anything, I mean, like if you are really, really depressed, you cannot have one Reiki session and magically be cured. That is not how this works. You will feel better after that Reiki session, but that is just like cleaning the surface so that you can open it up. It's like, I always call it like when I work on somebody who I have never worked on before, the first session is usually like this dusting off the things. It's like, you see, they're showing me, it's like this giant box came out of the attic and it's covered in dust. And you're like, okay, so what is this? So like, you have to dust it off first before you can like open it, because you want to open the scary box. Essentially, that's what the first session of Reiki is. If you've never had energy work done, I'm like dusting off the box so I can see like, okay, what's the bigger picture here? And then the second session is like unlocking it and opening it. And then we like clean out the insides. So it's not a one and done situation. So avoiding these quick fixes is not going to do anything. It's not. It's going to feel better for the moment, and that's amazing. I'm glad that you have those things. Just like taking a drink. If you are full of anxiety and you're massively depressed and you have a glass of wine, you're like, oh my God, I feel so much better. You're like, it just fixes me. It's amazing. Well, then tomorrow you're going to feel like shit again because you did not deal with the issue. You are not looking at the root of the problem. You are putting a band-aid on it because it's easier to put a band-aid on it than it is to process and heal the emotions that are coming up, to heal what you don't want to see. And this is why a lot of people get stuck in the hamster wheel. They're like, why does this stuff keep happening to me? This always keeps happening to me. I'm stuck in the same job. I'm stuck in the same marriage, blah, 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 because you're not changing the cycle, because you're not looking the healing. You're just sticking to surface level healing because it's easier. And it's a quick fix, so to speak. But that quick fix wears off really freaking fast. That glass of wine only works for like an hour, and then you're back to the same. Or sometimes you're worse off. Whatever it is. This is why I stopped drinking this summer. So role of community. So finding a community is one of the most powerful things that I have ever done. I was actually just listening. I'm in a group right now when we're grounding back into Gaia very, very deeply. And she was talking about like codependency, hyperindependence, and interdependence. So hyperindependence is something where it's when you rely on yourself and you go like, I can do it. And this is something that I realized with myself. I was hyper independent with my self-help healing for a very, very long time, because I'm like, no, nobody else can heal like I can. Nobody else has been through the stuff I've been through. I'm just going to do it myself. I'm going to read all the self-help books. I'm going to take all the classes, and I'm just going to do it by myself. I don't need to hire a coach. I don't need to hire a mentor. I don't need to learn these things. I'm going to do it by myself, and it's going to be amazing. Guess where that got me? Nowhere. It got me. So I'm trying to run a marathon, and it got me like 3 feet in, which is fine. That's okay. What I realized is that having a community, having people who can support you and understand, and having people who have already been down the path that you have been through, they can move you so much faster. So when I met my mentors, I've had many mentors. They've all come to me in the exact moment they needed to come to me. When I had my mentor, she moved me from that 3 feet mark to mile I don't know how many miles are in a marathon. I honestly don't know. Mile 15 within like a year. And I've been working with her for 2.5 years now. And, because she's already been down this path, she has been, and this is what I do as well. She has walked through the fire and she's like, okay, so don't go this way because I went this way and you're going to get burned. Go this way instead. You might get burned, but it's not going to be as bad. That's the same thing I do for my clients. But having that community, having the people in your life who understand and are going through the same things as you is one of the fastest ways to go through your healing and to dig underneath that surface level. This is why I have a monthly membership. It is incredible. And I'm very particular about the people that get in there. It has to be right energy match because the women in there are healing amazingly. They are uprising. They're leveling up so fast. And we are a community of supportive women. It is not just, I am not better than them. They are not better than me. We are there because we're all going through the same things. We were all had some sort of trauma in the past. We're all trying to level up in our lives and we're all going through this communal wave of energy shifts. So when there's a full moon and we're all freaking emotional, guess what? We're all freaking emotional and we're talking about it. It is having that community and having that tribe of people who understand you are going to help you heal so much faster. And then you feel safe enough to dive down deep into the harder healing work. It is amazing. And then here's the other thing too. Healing is not easy. Healing is not something that everybody is capable of doing or willing to do. It is something that a very, very, very few people on the planet are willing to open the doors to because it's hard. This work is hard. And there is no right or wrong way. There is no timeline for healing. I've had people come to me, they're like, you're so much younger than me. I don't understand why you're healing so much faster than me. That's everybody wakes up at the moment they're supposed to wake up. Everybody starts their healing journey at the moment they're supposed to start their healing journey. Some people process things a lot faster. Some people don't. There are people that have started and they're way younger than me and they have already leaps and bounds ahead of me. There are people who are much older than me and they're just starting their healing journey. There is no timeline. Also, time doesn't exist in the universe. Like everything that's happened has not happened and everything that has not happened has already happened. So this energy of I'm behind, I'm not where I should be. Oh my God, Carrie is so much further ahead in her healing journey than I am. What am I doing wrong? First of all, you're not fucking wrong, sweetie. You're fucking worthy and you're just realizing it now. And what's happening is you're seeing that frustration, you're seeing that anger, and you're saying, why is she further ahead than me? Use that fuel to motivate yourself. Find somebody that you look up to and hire them because you see how far they have gone and you've seen how powerful they are and what they have gone through and moved through. They can help you move through it as well. And if they can't, and if they're an amazing coach, they'll direct you to somebody who can. There have been many times that I've directed people elsewhere because I don't feel like I'm the right person for them. So there's the journey of healing is something that's never going to end. You are never going to stop your healing journey. It is not something you're just gonna be like, oh, I'm going to do it for 2 years. I'm going to be done with it. No, that's an unrealistic expectation. You will be healing from the moment you wake up until the moment you die. You will continually be bettering yourself. You will continually be working on yourself. That is the journey. That is why we're all here on this planet, is to go through this healing process, to feel the thing so that the next generation doesn't have to do it. And if you're anything like me, you are healing generations of trauma before you and trauma after you. So that what is it there? I saw something and it's like, we are the strongest ones because we are the ones that are doing the work that nobody else was willing to do. We are healing generations of pain because nobody else in our lineage was willing to do it. And that's okay. I'm willing to take on that for my children, for my grandchildren, for my great-great-grandchildren, because that's my purpose. And if I can help anybody else in this world with their journey, that is why I'm here. I'm going to end it with that. I am always here for you. I do have a couple spaces open up for one-on-one clients. If anybody is willing to, or if you are ready to invest in yourself and invest in your healing journey and ready for that deep, deep, deep support, reach out to me. And if the space is already taken up, I will put you on a waiting list. And then if you're interested in a really amazing monthly community where I go live every single morning, I pull cards every morning, and then every once a month we have a coffee chat, so an hour long, like you get to ask me anything and I get to coach you for, it's like 2 hours. And then we also have a free masterclass, and you get a whole bunch of discounts on all of my services. If you're in that monthly membership, that's only $55 a month. So send me a message there and I will see if you're an energetic match for that container. and that I'm always teaching Reiki. If you want to learn Reiki, there's Reiki level 1, 2, and 3 you can gain instant access to. They're $197 each or $397 for all 3 levels. And if you want to take Reiki level 1 live, we are teaching it in in November of this year is Reiki level 1. Yeah, November of this year. And then the live classes are $555 each or $333 if you buy 3 or more levels. I think that's all the things. And then if you just want Reiki, reach out. I always have space for Reiki clients. If you don't see room on my calendar for you, send me a message and I can accommodate. I'm very, very flexible with my Reiki clients because I want the healing for you all. Okay. Make sure you like and follow. Comment below if you like this podcast. Share it with all of your friends. I am here for you. I love you. Have an amazing week. I will see you next week. Bye. If you made it to the end of this episode, that means you are truly committed to your goals and open to miracles. I am so proud of you. If you want to get more Carrie, make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. Your experience means a lot to me, so I welcome you to leave an honest review. And you can follow me on social media at Carrie Briggs Coaching. If you really want to get in on the action, sign up for my monthly membership, Unlock Yourself, or reach out for more powerful one-on-one work. I love you all so much. See you next time.